Hey, what's going on, guys? So in this video, we're actually going to be interviewing my client, Davis. Davis did not waste a single minute once he joined my mentorship program, the Wholesale Underground. He hit his first 10K month within 3 weeks of being in the program. He hit his first 20K month within 7 weeks of being in the program. And keep in mind, he started working with me with absolutely zero experience. So in this interview, he actually goes into a lot of important things that a lot of people never talk about that will help you get to your first 10K and even get to your first couple of sales. So I'm really looking forward to you guys hearing this interview. Let's get into it.
So yeah, I've been thinking about, starting like Amazon FBA business before. And I was kind of looking into like, buying a course just because, you could always go on YouTube and spend tons of time looking at free content, but having like an actual roadmap is something that I wanted. And I came across your course, bought it, pretty much studied it for about 2 weeks, and then started sourcing. And then like the second day sourcing, I decided to buy my first test product. Went from there. They all sold, so it was a success. And I just kind of started sourcing more products and eventually came across some good ones, and then just kept going from there. And then if I ever needed help, just asked you questions, and just kept going and spending more time on it, and the numbers reflected that. So
What made you join the Wholesale Underground specifically, other than like other courses? 'Cause I think I remember you saying you were thinking about joining another course, but you decided to go with us.
yeah, I was thinking about joining like a few other courses. I was kind of like shopping around, but number one, the other courses were just way overpriced, and it wasn't, I guess, as like the mentoring wasn't really like one on one. It was more like instead of like a direct message to the actual person, it was more like his worker. And then it's just one of those things where you're not really getting the full one-on-one mentorship that your course did offer, which I liked.
Yeah, and how does that messenger, like, because the way that my mentorship works is it's all DMs, right? So it's
Hmm.
not calls or anything like that. But I've been in mentorships for a bunch of different programs, and you get on a group call, and it's kind of hard to get your question answered. They're kind of skipping through questions really quick. So a lot of pushback that I get with the way that I do things with is just direct message. He's like skepticism, right? Like they're
Hmm.
not really sure if that's going to work or not. How do you think it has worked so far?
I mean, it's been working great because every time I have something that I run into, like most of the time it you look up online, or a lot of people would just quit if they run into something and they don't know the answer to it. They would just quit. But it's nice being able to message someone and then them me an answer back gives me a lot more confidence in what I'm doing.
Yeah, for sure. And then it's like that 7 days a week, like you always have somebody in your back pocket, right?
Yeah.
And then like I remember being in some of these other programs. I've been in like YouTube programs and like just a bunch of marketing programs and stuff like that. And it's like you got to wait a week to hopefully get your question answered and hopefully it's thorough. And it's like for me, when I was designing it, I was like, I just wish I had like somebody in my back pocket that I could always like refer back to.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's why I always try to be like really available to you guys. But I'm glad it's working out for you. What
Yeah.
would you say was like your biggest challenge coming into the business model?
Honestly, it's just the fear of like spending money, because this business is one where you're not going to make any money unless you put some money on the table and spend it. So I think, the fear of like, oh, what if it doesn't work out, this product or whatever? It's really just something that's in your mind, and the only way to know whether it works or not is to actually test it. So I think that's the biggest thing that probably a lot of people struggle with, is just the fear of like putting their own money down. But that's something you just got to get over, and you'll see your money 2x, and you'll get that back right away. So
Yeah, and then after you tested out that first product, did you feel like that fear just kind of withered away or
yeah, it was definitely proof of concept kind of lit up in my head for sure. Once that kind of went, it definitely made me want to work on it a lot more and source a lot more. So I think for a lot of people, getting their toes in the water and seeing like a sale or like a few sales from like something that they bought is something that will definitely help them get over the hurdle of not them spending money and not spending time on the business for sure.
Yeah, I think that first sale is like a big deal for everybody. Like
Mhm.
that first sale is like, whoa, like this is actually fucking real. Like I can actually do something with this. And
Yeah.
then you start seeing more and more sales come in, and it's almost like the fear just kind of leaves. But I think the fastest way that people can get over that is exactly what you did. Just be
Mhm.
quick for a test product. And I'm even big on like just get a product in there. It doesn't have to be like this amazing ROI or anything. Like just the mental win that you get from getting that first sale, I think is more significant than the profit you're going to get from getting that first sale. It's like
Yeah.
you need to prove it to yourself that this is a reality, and then once you do that, it's like you're off to the races.
Mhm. I agree.
So what's your highest rolling 30 days? I know you hit 10K pretty quick, but then we kind of talked in the DMs and you were like really close to 20K. Did you reach that 20K? What's the highest 30-day rolling?
I did reach that 20K right at the end of December, before I
Okay.
went on a little vacation. But yeah, I hit the 20K, so that's been the highest so far. Definitely looking to go way past that in the future. But yeah, that's something I was pretty proud about doing that in a kind of short period of time. I was able to do within my first 3 weeks, hit 10K. And basically, the way I got to 20K was just sourcing more of the same kind of thing that was already working and just buying more, spending more money, and seeing it triple and double. So,
Were you doubling down on like the product, like the ASINs that were already working? I'm assuming you stayed in that kind of niche or like kind of a set of categories that you were having luck
mhm.
in, but did you go a little bit deeper on certain ASINs, like the ASINs that were already working, or did you just keep going wide?
Kind of a little bit of both. It was more, I was staying in the same niche the whole time. So it was just one specific niche, one category, and almost one just brand, to be honest. It was just one brand that
Mhm.
was working. Obviously, a few others now, but in the beginning, it was just that one brand. And then it had a few little winners. And then I actually found some really good ASINs. And that was just by sourcing more of the same brand, actually storefront stocking other sellers that were selling the product that I was selling, and then getting more ideas of different products in the same brand that they were selling as well.
Yeah, dude, that's the way to do it. And it's even if you have one brand that's doing really well, it's like I think people have a this like misconception that you can't go deep on arbitrage. Yeah, you're gonna face like some order cancels and stuff like that, some checkout issues, but you can go just as deep on arbitrage. It's just a little bit more of a pain in the ass as you can with wholesale, and it'll pay off if the ASINs are right, right? And
Mhm.
it sounds like that's what you did, but take me back a little bit. So you hit your first 10K in 3 weeks, and then you hit your first 20K in like how much of a time frame?
Right from when I started, it was 7 weeks. So like the seventh week, I checked my last 30 days and it would say like 20K, right then and there. And that was like end of December, right around the end of December. And yeah, it's basically just buying, seeing what was working and just going all in on those things as much as I could. The biggest problem that I ran into was not having enough of the product, to be honest. And
Hmm.
still something I kind of struggle with is being able to get my hands on the product. I know if I was able to get
Yeah.
my hands on, a few certain ASINs, there would be, it'd be through the to the moon. But yeah, just constantly buying more and more stuff.
Not only like going from no experience, but then hitting your first 10K in 3 weeks, and then having the ability to then double that in a couple of more weeks. Like, how did you feel like about the business, about like the possibilities of moving forward? Like just kind of guide me through that.
Yeah, it's definitely very exciting. Just because you know that, especially with this, there's so many ways to scale. So it's definitely nice knowing that, you could just keep growing it and growing it. And I think the biggest thing, which I like, is that you're really working for yourself. You're not working for anybody else. You basically have your own kind of company, kind of own operation that you're running. And for me, at least when I'm doing something that's for myself and my own operation, it doesn't really feel like work. It's more of like a hobby. And the fact that I'm able to make money and grow that money with a hobby, yeah, it's very exciting. I couldn't help myself but tell like a lot of friends and family about what I was doing. Did a lot of them understand it? No, but I just something that I thought was super exciting and I had to share with them. So
Yeah, dude, that's what it's all about right there. That's the you have that sense of freedom, like that sense of control about my time, my money, and like for me, that was the biggest thing. Like
mhm.
more than anything was like the freedom, because I was in law enforcement, I pretty much fucking lived there. So then when I got that taste of like, whoa, like I can actually make some money outside of my job,
Yeah.
and I completely understand what you're saying with nobody understands what you're talking about. Like
Mhm.
selling on Amazon, like what is that? Like, but you keep grinding and it's like, yeah, you can make a great living and you can build this business however much you want, have as much freedom as you want, depending on how you want to structure the
Yeah.
business. But yeah, that's what it's all about. So I want to get a little bit more tactical just for
Mhm.
the people watching. How much of ungating like how much of an ungating strategy did you have? Did you have to deal with a lot of ungating? Because I'm big on ungating. I think it's like a real quick advantage that you can give yourself. But sometimes people they won't even start because they run into their first gated product, know how to get over that hurdle, and then instead of trying to figure that out and testing a bunch of things, they kind of just give up. So how much did ungating play in your success?
Yeah. Honestly, I think the whole ungating thing is just kind of like, I guess I would say like an excuse that a lot of people make. For me personally, it wasn't really like a lot of my products, I didn't have the brands didn't require ungating. But for the ones that did, all I really did was just kind of message you, say what's a good website to get an invoice from, and then I just bought 10 units from that website, and then they asked for the invoice on Amazon, and I just asked for the invoice on that website, and then got it, and then submitted it, and then it's like instant ungate. And then the cool thing is with those 10 units, you can honestly return them to the place that you bought them from. You don't
Yeah.
have to, you know, be $100 in the hole. You could just return it like a week later. So there's really no excuse, I would say. It's like ungating. I think that's something that is really easy, and all I had to do was just message you for a kind of good website to go through with that.
I agree with you completely. Like people use that as an excuse. It's like this, they make it this big thing, but it's really not that big of a deal. I mean, you even said like it's just submit the stuff that they're asking for, you'll get approved. I think you had an issue with Nike, I believe, and then you submitted it again and you got it approved right away. So it's like it's not this big thing that is going to hold your business back. And there's you even said a lot of the stuff that you were selling wasn't even gated. So it's like that
Yeah.
opportunity is out there. It's just a matter of people having the correct mindset and like actually looking for the wins, looking for where opportunity actually is.
Mhm.
How did you go about finding your very first product?
Good question. So it's pretty standard. Right after I finished kind of watching the videos, I got Seller Ramp, I got Keepa, and those are the really only two tools that you really need. Those two.
Mhm.
Um, and I just started looking on different websites. I first started, yeah, looking on different like big brand name websites like Target, Walmart, Walgreens, and I just saw the deals that they had, and I would just manual source one by one each product, and then within I don't know 5 6 hours, I was able to find like three good ones, and then I just went from there and then tested those. Those worked. So I was like, okay, let me dig deeper into what's already working that brand, and then just found more and more that were, profitable, basically.
Was this like retail arbitrage, like you were actually going in store, or this was on their websites
Online. It was online.
online?
Um,
Okay, cool.
but yeah, now it's more like a mix of both. Online is can get tough with the order cancels, but I don't know. It's a little bit of mixture of both these days, retail and online.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody should start with online just to kind of get product research down.
Hmm.
But then I think retail arbitrage is there's a lot of people that know about it, but there's a lot of people that kind of half-ass it, so they kind of miss the gold. But I think there's a lot of opportunity in retail arbitrage if people are willing to go and do it. It's
Yeah.
just whether people are willing to go and do it, like actually give it like a real effort.
I agree.
All right, man. So I got one last question, and then I'll hit you with another question that we're gonna leave out of the interview. But if you're talking to somebody and they're kind of on the fence about joining the Wholesale Underground, what would you tell them?
I would just tell them, as long as you're consistent, don't be afraid. Don't just take action. That's the one thing I would say. Take action. Don't be afraid to spend money. As long as you're consistent and you work on it day in and day out, the 100 or whatever dollars it is to use a tool is you'll see that right away. The $500 to get a course or whatever, you'll see that. within 2 weeks. That's the biggest thing I would say is like, if you're afraid to spend money, any kind of money, I just wouldn't do it. But if you're, willing to spend money to learn and actually make something in return, I would say do it. Um, but yeah, that's the biggest thing I'd say, is just taking action.
All right, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed that interview. If you guys want to work with me one-on-one, just like Davis did, then go ahead and click that first link in the description and it will give you all of the details that you need to know. I'll see you guys in that next video.